The air in the Australian outback doesn't feel empty. It feels held, like the land is waiting for something it already knows is coming. Heat rises in slow waves from the red earth, blurring the horizon into a trembling mirage. There's no rush out here, no background noise of civilization. Just wind, dust, and a silence so deep it starts to feel intentional. You hear your own breath too clearly. Your footsteps feel louder than they should. And then, somewhere ahead, a shape begins to separate itself from the heat haze. At first it looks like nothing special, just another animal standing in open land. Still, patient, almost relaxed. A red kangaroo in its natural world. Perfectly adapted to survive, in a place where everything demands efficiency. But something about its stillness feels different when you're actually there. Not peaceful, not harmless, just controlled, like every muscle is waiting on a signal only it can hear. You tell yourself it's just an animal. Large, yes. Powerful, maybe. But familiar. That's the mistake people make in places like this. Familiarity creates distance in your mind that doesn't exist in reality. Because the closer you look, the more you realize this body isn't built like something meant to simply exist. It's built like something engineered for impact. The red kangaroo stands on hind legs that don't behave like ordinary limbs. They are loaded structures of stored force. Tendons stretch like tightly wound cables, holding energy the way a drawn bow holds an arrow. The tail presses into the ground behind it, not as decoration or balance alone, but as a stabilizing pillar. Without it, the body would lose its alignment. With it, the entire frame becomes a tripod of controlled power, ready to shift from stillness into motion without warning. And yet nothing is happening. That's what unsettles you. Because in nature, silence usually means absence. But here, silence feels like preparation. The kangaroo doesn't pace. It doesn't fidget. It simply exists in a state of readiness so refined that movement feels unnecessary until the exact moment it becomes unavoidable. A small shift of weight. A subtle adjustment in stance. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that would make most people step back. And that's exactly why it works. The body doesn't announce danger the way human instinct expects it to. There is no warning system you can easily read. Only geometry changing quietly in real time. In that fraction of stillness, something important happens. Distance stops being a number and becomes a boundary. Too close is no longer a concept you think about. It becomes something the animal already understands about you. The kangaroo is constantly reading space, pressure, and position. Not with thought, but with instinct refined over thousands of generations in a land where energy waste can mean survival failure. People who have spent time around them often describe a strange feeling. Not fear in the dramatic sense, something quieter, a sense of being accounted for, as if the animal has already measured you and decided what you are in relation to it. Not as prey, not as threat, just as presence that must remain at a certain distance. And then comes the moment that no one really notices until it's already passed. The shift, not visible at first, not obvious. The kangaroo's body tightens in a way that looks almost like stillness deepening. Muscles align. The tail presses more firmly. Weight redistributes through the hind limbs. There is no roar, no warning sound, no dramatic display, just a decision made in muscle and bone. The red kangaroo's kick is not about aggression, it is about resolution. A final answer delivered through force. The power doesn't come from emotion. It comes from mechanics, elastic tendons releasing stored energy in an explosive sequence so fast that the beginning and the result feel almost connected. In rural parts of Australia, there are stories that circulate quietly among farmers and wildlife workers. Not told for drama, but for reminder. A person approaches too closely, thinking the animal is calm or injured. The kangaroo appears still, almost indifferent, and in the space between assumption and reality, the distance collapses. The encounter ends not with warning, but with sudden consequence that leaves no time for correction. There are other accounts too, from wildlife rangers who work during relocation efforts. Animals that seem calm during transport, only to shift in posture in an instant when space is misread. Not rage, not panic, just immediate enforcement of boundary. The kind that happens so quickly it feels like it bypasses awareness entirely. What makes it difficult to understand is how little it looks like violence in the way people imagine it. There is no buildup of emotion you can track. no expressive signal that gives you time to interpret intention. The body simply transitions from stored potential to completed action faster than perception can fully process. This is where biology becomes uncomfortable to think about, because the kangaroo is not built for drama. It is built for efficiency. Its legs function like biological springs, storing and releasing energy in ways that minimize delay. Its tail acts like a counterweight, turning balance into stability under pressure. Even its posture is part of a system designed to reduce wasted motion. Out here, survival doesn't reward hesitation, so evolution removes it. And that creates something unsettling when viewed up close. Not a monster, not a predator in the cinematic sense, but a living system where reaction and action are nearly indistinguishable, where the idea of warning is replaced by threshold. If you cross it, you don't get a speech, you get physics. There is a moment when standing near such an animal becomes less about observation and more about awareness of space itself. You start thinking differently about distance, about movement, about how quickly things can change without appearing to change at all. The desert doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels structured, as if every position is part of an unspoken map of acceptable and unacceptable proximity. And then, just as quickly as tension builds, it dissolves. The kangaroo relaxes. The posture softens. The energies that felt coiled disappears back into stillness. It resumes its place in the landscape as if nothing had been decided at all. That's what stays with people afterward. Not the action, but the absence of it. The realization that everything significant happened inside a moment so small it almost couldn't be noticed. In the end, the red kangaroo isn't a symbol of chaos or aggression. It is a reminder that nature doesn't operate on emotional signals the way humans expect. It operates on thresholds, on distance, on precision. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the world isn't movement you can see coming. It's stillness that already knows what it will do if you come any closer.